What's up everyone, welcome back. It is Wednesday, 5:30 p.m. I just finished work for the week at my day job, and I've got about 30 minutes before I have to go to my next job for the night. And then the rest of the time in between now and leaving on Friday morning is gonna be packing and getting ready for the Indiana Trail 100. So I'm gonna bring you guys along over the next probably 24 hours or so, because let's be honest, I'm not finishing tonight. But yeah, just wanted to bring you guys in on a few things that have been going on this week, as far as like taper goes, as far as packing, nutrition, pacer stuff, all of that. Sorry if you can hear my dog. He's banging his head into the door because he wants to come in here with me. But anyway, like I said, it's basically go time. Like I'm done with my day job. Taking vacation time tomorrow, which is Thursday and Friday. All right, one cool thing that I did want to bring up is that just a couple days ago, I crossed 2,000 running miles for the year, which is awesome. I think it happened about 4 or 5 days ago. So right at the beginning of October, that's the earliest I've ever hit 2,000 miles of running in a year, which is pretty cool. Like, I'm pretty proud of that. The last couple months have been just insane as far as running mileage for me, for my history of running and everything. But this year, really putting in a lot of work early on in the year for the Cruel Jewel, and then a ton of work over the summer getting ready for IT 100 has really just made it possible to rack up the miles pretty quick. So as long as I get 100 miles this weekend, that'll put me at just over 2,100, 400 left for the rest of the year to hit my goal of 2,500 that I set back in January. I was expecting, obviously this is a fall race, I was expecting nice, cool, crisp air, but it's gonna be hot. So I'm gonna have to prepare for that. So that means I'm packing, not only am I packing like just my regular like race t-shirt and jackets and stuff in case there's bad weather, but I'm also gonna be packing probably a tank top, and then who knows, maybe I'll go shirtless for like one of the laps, because if it's in the 80s, like I need to do everything I possibly can to stay cool. So yeah. That's unexpected. The other thing I wanted to go over was the settings for my Garmin Enduro for the data screens. So I'll bring the camera around here and show you guys that real quick. All right, so on the Enduro, obviously start the activity, press Ultra Run, and then I'm gonna let it find the GPS here. I'll just start a activity to just kind of show you guys. This is gonna be the first screen, but I'm mainly going to be using this screen here, so I'll go over this first. Top field up here is going to be lap distance, and the way I'm going to break up this loop is I'm going to break it up into 2 sections. And so on the screen right now you can see a map of the first section. It's going to be roughly 16 miles, and then the second section will be roughly 9 miles. And so I'm going to have those distances like keyed in here. I'm going to be just watching that go up to 16 and then hit the lap button and watch it go up to 9 next, because in the past I just focus on the complete 100-mile distance too much, and so early on in the race I know that it bogs me down a little bit. So the next field over here is going to be my current pace. Field next to it is the lap pace. So for this lap that's 16 miles, or if it's 9 miles, I'm going to have this lap pace going, and it's going to really help me make sure that I'm hitting my goal. And I know what my lap pace should be for each section. And then the lap time down here at the bottom, I also know that if I break these up into like a 2.5 hour section, or a 1 hour and 45 minute section, 3 hour section, just depending on what it should be, that's the timer for that. And then I also have just kind of like a general data screen that I like to have, like current temperature, which it's taking the temperature off your wrist. Total ascent, which I think will be interesting to see kind of throughout the race. Battery percentage, just to keep an eye on that. Time of day, and then a complete timer. And then the last screen I'll have is a map. And the reason why you see this July 14th is because this is a saved location. And going back to this lap screen that just has 4 pieces of information on it, all about the current section of the course that I'm on, the whole point of that is to break this race up into bite-sized sections. Like I said, in the past, I've gotten kind of like depressed during these races when I look down at my watch and I see it's only at like mile 37, or even like sometimes even around like mile 70, 75, something like that. And you start to think, oh my gosh, like I still have another marathon. Like these miles are just not going by very quick. This is a test to see if something like this can help my brain stay in a happier place. And I can't take credit for this exact layout and combination of information. This is the data screen that Jim Walmsley has on his watch when he ran Western States this past year. The more I thought about it, it just really made sense to have just less information. The other thing that I did was I took off the auto lap on every mile. The other thing that I am going to be doing is taking advantage of the rest feature on the Garmin Enduro. And the way that works is when you hit the lap key, it gives you this notification that you finished this lap number 1, but then the screen that comes up after this is your rest screen, and it's got a rest timer up there and then your overall timer. And that's just really cool because if you want to, say, limit your aid station stops to 5 minutes or 10 minutes or whatever, or you just want to keep track of how long you've been in an aid station, this is a really handy feature. And you can always get back to your main screens, and there's a black background that kind of reminds you that you're just in rest mode. But this will be really handy because some of the crewed aid stations, I want to make sure that at least for the first half of the race, at least, I'm not spending anywhere more than 5 minutes in any of these crewed aid stations. And later in the race, depending on how my pace is going, I might be able to spend a little bit more time. But then you hit the lap button again, and it does. The only kind of weird thing is that it creates laps for all of these. It doesn't have like a separate lap, running lap of all your rest times, but then it goes back to lap distance 0, lap time 0. And so then when I start the next section, I'll just know that, you know, I'm shooting for the 16 miles or the 9 miles. And that is how I've got my Garmin Enduro set up. So I'm going to stop this activity now and go down to, say, discard, because I don't need it, obviously. But that's it for tonight. I will pick this back up tomorrow morning. What's up, everyone? Welcome back. Today is Thursday, October 7th. We are 2 days away from the Indiana Trail 100, pretty much the end of taper week 3. So I'm just going to walk you through as much as I can, all my clothes, gear, nutrition, because when I was learning how to run 100 milers, I got a lot of benefit out of watching other people set up their stuff, pick everything out. So that's what this video is going to be all about. Let's get started. First of all, looking at clothes, and to give you like a little brief overview of kind of like this race and how I'm approaching it much different than some of the other 100 milers I've done before. Some of the other ones in the past I've had to be much more self-reliant, and maybe it was like a point-to-point course or a single loop or an out and back where I was having to put drop bags in specific locations, and things were a lot more complicated for some of my past races. This race should be much simpler because it's 4 25-mile loops. I have a crew. They can see me at the start finish. They can see me at a little bit past halfway. So I'm going to see my crew twice each loop. So I'm not going to have any drop bags, and I'm going to try and keep things as simple as possible. I'm really going to try not to overcomplicate things. In the past, I've prepared for races and over-prepared to the point where it was like, I think I used maybe like 10% of the stuff I packed. This race, I'm going to try and be a lot smarter about what I'm packing and preparing, because it's going to be a totally different race and race course. I'm going to need a lot less stuff. This is the box that I'm going to basically just give to my crew. I'm also going to have a duffel bag like this in the car of just like maybe shoes and clothes that are just like backup to the backup. Like a rain jacket will go in here because the forecast is not predicting any type of heavy rain. So there's a 99.9% chance I'm not going to need a rain jacket, but I'm not going to come unprepared in case the weather changes all of a sudden and it's going to downpour for 10 hours. I'm going to want a rain jacket in that situation. So as far as gear I'm going to start in, we're looking at right here. I'm going to be wearing this Solomon shirt that I've worn for pretty much all of my long runs. I've known for a while that I was going to wear this shirt to start in. So made sure I was practicing in it. T8 shorts, this is the undergarment. The outer layer is actually in the wash right now, so it's gonna be ready in just a second, so that'll go. And as far as socks go, it's a toss-up right now between Exoskin toe socks and regular. These are darn tough, just like merino wool, I think. Super thin socks. I've been running most of my runs recently in socks that are not toe socks, so I'm more comfortable in these right now, but the Exoskin socks I know do protect against blisters a little bit better. So it's gonna be a toss-up. I don't know exactly what's gonna happen race morning. And then I'll be wearing, as I've been wearing in most of my videos recently, the naked belt. This is where all of my nutrition is gonna go and my GoPro. Of course, I'll be wearing one of my hats to start the race in. And then the shoes, I'll be wearing the North Face Flight Vective, but I'm also going to bring the North Face Endurus, which is, these are like their max cushion shoes. So if something starts going wrong with the Flight Vective, I'll be able to switch into the Endurus and hopefully just get a more comfortable ride if I need it. And then I will be starting with my trusty Amphipod handheld bottle, but I also have a Camelback soft flask. And the reason why I'm picking the Camelback version over the Salomon versions that I've been using mostly is that this actually fits in the naked belt really well in the back pocket. It's like the exact right length. And also it's shaped just a little bit different than the Salomon soft flask. It's a little bit wider and thinner, so a little bit better for a waist belt in my opinion, a little bit more comfortable, and the spout is just as good. So the only slight difference between if I have to switch to this is that this handheld is 20 ounces and I believe this is 16 ounces. I think I measured it earlier, but I'll just have to adjust just a little bit. But if I do switch to this, it'll probably be like in the evening or night when it's getting cooler, so I'll probably be needing just a little bit less water. That's it. That's what I'm starting with. Very minimal type of gear setup for the start of the race, and then hopefully I'll be able to go the whole way with this setup. But I am going to bring a couple tank tops just in case. I think you've seen both of these in videos before, but just kind of like, and here's maybe my first example of slightly overpacking. I always like to have two options of everything, just because if one thing is working well, I want to have it and a backup. So taking two tank tops. I've also got two backup short sleeve shirts, both from Salomon, and I've got a long sleeve shirt, and I really don't think I'm going to need this. Like, this is going to be one of the things that goes in the duffel bag that sits in the car, because even as of right now, like the most recent weather forecast is that it's not even supposed to get below 60 the night of the race. So like when I'm hitting like mile like 60, 70, and then through 100, it's not even supposed to get below 60 degrees. So I'll probably just be wearing a short sleeve or tank top the whole time. I have a backup pair of shorts. These are my Ultra shorts that have that liner on the inside. Windbreaker. This is a very thin, very light Salomon windbreaker with a hood. I'm gonna have this also in the car. Well, I'll probably warm up in this along with a pair of Salomon sweatpants just in the morning, because the morning of the start of the race is going to be right around 55 degrees as of right now. So I'll probably have both of these on, like leaving the hotel and getting to the park and just warming up and everything. And then also, like I said, a rain jacket is going to be in the crew car. This is a rain jacket by Jonji, so I really like this one. And then some miscellaneous gear we've got here. Backup socks. I've got two pairs of Exoskin and one pair of Darn Tough, like these are the mini crew socks. I also have a bandana, because if it does start to get actually like really hot in the afternoon, if it goes higher than 80, what it's predicted to right now, I might need an ice bandana. Never know. Depends on how hard I'm running in the middle of the afternoon. Got a towel. This is just a microfiber towel. It's great. And the reason why I'm packing some of this cold gear, even though the weather forecast shows that it's going to be pretty warm, is that things can change, especially in the last 24 hours leading up to a race. I just don't want to leave home without some of these options. And that might seem kind of silly, but actually this is pretty minimal packing as far as clothing goes for me. Most of the, like I said, some of the other races I've done, mountain races where you're going to have like major temperature shifts. Like just thinking back to No Business a year ago, where in the middle of the day it was like high 70s, and then at night it was like freezing rain, and the bridges were all frozen over, and it was like just miserable at night. So this race isn't going to have that big of a temperature swing, I don't think, as of right now, but I just want to be prepared in case something like that happens. But the good thing about my situation right now is that I'm not going to have to pack drop bags with all of this stuff. I'm just going to have one duffel bag with all the backup stuff that I will probably never touch. And then I'm going to have this crew box with all the things that I think I probably will need. All right, now we're going to talk about other random gear that I just keep all together. Here's some disposable gloves and sports shield. What this is, it's like anti-blister and chafing. It's a wipe, and you're gonna want gloves if you ever put this on. I got my headlamp and headlamp batteries and a backup headlamp. And then I'm gonna have a waist light as well in case I need it. So lights going in here. All right, so let's talk about nutrition, and basically what I mean by that is sugar and salt. All right, so the main ingredient, or the main thing I'm going to be using is a mixture of UCAN and Tailwind. And I've prepared these little portion baggies full of them so that I can just grab them, stick one or two in my belt, and then head out. And then whenever my bottle gets empty on the trail, or as I'm coming up to an aid station, I can quickly open this, dump it in my bottle, fill it up with water at the aid station, and then throw away this little baggie. Inside each of these is 1 scoop of UCAN and 1 scoop of Tailwind. And what that will give me is 190 calories, which is 46 grams of carbs, and 430 milligrams of salt. So right away, I'll be starting the race with that. That'll be what's in each of my bottles. Along with that, I'll be taking gels, and these are the Morton gels, these are the Morton gels. I've been training with them, love them. They got 100 calories each, 25 grams of carbs, and then very minimal salt. I think it's, 50 milligrams of salt, so not much. So my goal is to be taking one of these bags plus 1 gel per hour at least, and that'll give me 290 calories, which is, what are we at? We're at about 70 carbs and about 480 or so milligrams of salt per hour. And that's the combination that has worked really well for me in training. So we're going to try and stick with that as long as we can during the race. And if for some reason I need more, I can adjust that. The next thing I've got is Morton gels with caffeine. I know this kind of looks like a lot of gels, but I want to make sure that I have enough of these caffeine gels so that when I want to make the switch, I can switch to 100% of the caffeine gels if I need to, or do a mix. So there's definitely more gels than I'm going to use, but I just want to have enough. And the next bag here is this is another drink mix option, and this is just straight the Morton 320. So in each of these bags is 320 calories. It's got 79 grams of carbs and 500 milligrams of salt. So these two drink options are going to be very similar in what they are providing to me as far as calorie content, carbs, salt, but the Morton, I'm going to have to tell like during the race which one is easier on my stomach. So this is going to be my kind of like game plan race fuel. All right, and the last nutrition item, a loose use of that word. We've got a couple kind of like sweet things and chocolatey things just for, maybe late in the race. I've got these Payday. What these will probably be used for, along with I've got some Twix fun size bars as well, is that so I can just like grab 1 or 2, throw them in my belt if I need to run. And also if I'm like sitting at an aid station, I will have a much easier time, I think, opening one of these or one of these. Usually in these races, I'm okay with like just little tiny portions because a lot of times my stomach is not feeling well, or maybe like my taste buds like aren't, like they just don't want anything right now. So little fun size bars, and then also some sweet stuff, some Swedish Fish, Sour Patch Kids, watermelon and regular. This will be like if I really need a pick-me-up moment, I'll just grab one of these, throw it in my pouch, and just start going again. And then throughout the lap, I'll be able to eat these. Sometimes little candies like this is like the only calories that I can get in. So hopefully that doesn't happen. But if I do get into a really low patch, I'm just gonna grab one of these. And what I do is I just take a little piece of candy and I just throw it in my mouth and just kind of like let it kind of dissolve in my mouth. Each of these are 210 calories and about 50 grams of carbs, so it's not a lot, but honestly, if none of this is working, maybe this will. So that's kind of the thought, is just to bring a few different options aside from the typical gels and drink mix. But I have a feeling that what's going to work the best is liquid calories, meaning mostly this drink mix, and then being able to supplement it with gels, and then maybe late in the race, maybe some of these like candy bars or sweets. But then also, obviously, I'll be taking a look at what the aid stations have. They might possibly have some good hot food. Like, I'm really excited that maybe they'll have like some tomato soup or something like that. Also, I mean, these aid stations are pretty legendary as far as their food goes. They bring these massive grills out, and they're just like tons of hot food all the time. They're constantly ordering pizza to be delivered. So who knows, maybe some of that will work really well too. But that is it. That is what I'm packing for the race as far as all my gear and nutrition and all of that. I don't think there's really anything else that's missing. I'm gonna bring a few things to the hotel, like in my last video I talked about those recovery tools like the stretch band and the Hyperice Viper 2.0 foam roller. So I'll bring that and be able to loosen up a little bit at the hotel before the race. And the last thing I'm gonna pack is this little tiny massage gun, and I'll have this actually in the car because I don't really think I'm gonna need this, but if I do, it'll be available so my crew can go grab it. So that's gonna go in the car. But other than that, I'm pretty much done, which is crazy. It's not even noon on Thursday, and I'm pretty much done packing. So that's really great. That'll give me time to edit this video, honestly, but then also just kind of like chill out and just really relax, keep my feet elevated. Like I said, the gear for this race is gonna be a lot simpler, a lot less stuff, just one little tote, and it's not even full. We're done. Thank you guys so much for following along. In the description of this video, I have posted a link to the live tracking, which I've heard is pretty good, but as always with 100 milers, the live tracking can be kind of hit or miss. So definitely go ahead, check that out, and see how I'm doing throughout the day. That'll be kind of fun knowing that people are checking in on me. But yeah, it's gonna be so fun. I know a lot of you viewers are gonna be at this race, so definitely if we run into each other, say hi. I want you to know that the encouragement goes both ways, so thank you for all the encouragement that you've given me along this journey. We're here, we're ready, we're fit, we're ready to go. Indiana Trail 100, gonna go for a PR at the 100-mile distance, but it's not gonna be easy. I'm gonna have to manage a lot of things that go wrong throughout the race and figure out solutions to these problems. But I'm gonna have really good help there, and I'm gonna have a lot of support from the race staff and all the volunteers, and it's just gonna be, I think it's really just gonna be a really fun day. So I'm so excited. If you can't tell, I'm ready to go do this race. So that's it. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you again soon after the race. Bye.